In this week's episode of What's That President Got to Do with Me, it's time to talk about the Great Emancipator. Abraham Lincoln ensured the passage of the 13th Amendment, which outlawed slavery in the U.S., except as punishment for a crime, and that's what he's got to do with you. But he was not always in favor of emancipation. Now, don't get it twisted. He opposed slavery as a moral and institutional wrong and opposed the expansion of it. When he was in Congress as a Whig, Abraham Lincoln supported the Wilmot Proviso, which would have outlawed slavery in any of the new territories acquired during the Mexican-American War, which he also opposed. During the Lincoln-Douglas debates, Lincoln called slavery a moral, political, and social evil. He argued against the Dred Scott decision, saying that it made slavery a national institution, which was not good. However, his main concern was preservation of the Union at any costs. In his first inaugural address in 1861, he said, "I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists." The subtext, of course, is I'm not going to let you put it anywhere else. Of course, that was not good enough, and South Carolina immediately seceded. Even after the war started, eliminating slavery was not his priority. He said, "If I could save the Union by freeing every slave, I would do it. If I could save the Union by freeing no slaves, I would do it." Then on January 1st, 1863, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation freed any slaves held in states that were in open rebellion and allowed them to serve in the Union Army. It applied to 3.5 million out of the 4 million enslaved people in America. It immediately freed tens of thousands of people who were held in slavery in Confederate areas that the Union already held. Lincoln did this for political purposes. First, it stopped England from recognizing the Confederacy, which was a real danger. If the Confederacy had gotten the backing of England, money, weapons, anything like that from England, the Union would have been screwed. By making the war a war about slavery, Britain was backed into a corner where they could not support the Confederacy. It also shored up forces of the Union Army. Then he met this guy. Frederick Douglass met Lincoln at the White House in August of that year. He was very critical of Abraham Lincoln, especially when it came to how black men were treated in the Union Army. They weren't paid as much as white men in the Union Army, and they had to pay clothing fees. And Lincoln listened. They met more than once over the next few years, and Douglass's views helped convince Abraham Lincoln that after the war, there was no going back to a system where slavery still existed. When Congress drew up the drafts of the 13th Amendment that would end slavery in America in 1864, Lincoln was on board. Congress took advantage of the fact that there were no Southerners represented in Congress at that time to get it through. However, it didn't pass the House on the first go. Lincoln supported the 13th Amendment in his re-election platform in 1864. He began working with the House of Representatives in his lame duck session to get it passed. During his December 1864 State of the Union, he said it was only a matter of time before the states got the amendment anyway, so isn't it better sooner rather than later? And though the president has no actual role in the passage of a constitutional amendment, they sent it to him anyway, and underneath the speaker's signature and the president of the Senate signature, Abraham Lincoln wrote, "Approved." He was shot 2 months later when John Wilkes Booth heard him give a speech supporting black suffrage.